Nancy here with a good friend, Brian, the detective I turn to for insights on what it's like to get inside that kind of mind, right? So I have a few questions for him. Hi, Brian.
Hi, how are you?
Well, I haven't had as crazy a day as I expect you have had, so I know. Take a deep breath.
Hmm.
I've got just a few. I want to know what you consider the biggest mistake most people make when trying to understand a situation.
Jump to conclusions.
Jump to conclusions.
Hmm.
So in relationships, we can do the same thing,
On yeah, in
right?
everything. Yeah.
Do you ever?
Have I made mistakes like that? Yes, but I've learned from those mistakes.
So at work, you tend not to jump to any conclusion.
I yes, I've been humbled a few times by doing that. Yes,
You've been what?
humbled. Oh,
Humbled
yes.
by I see what you, ah, okay. So but you've been on at this
Well,
for
and I'll even say,
decades.
yeah, I've been on for like 32 years. I'll get a gut feeling, but then I'll jump to a conclusion without having the factual facts in front of me.
Thank you.
And usually that leads a cart before the horse. 9 out of 10 times I'm right, but you can't do it like that.
Right. Oh,
Right.
well, evidence, that word, evidence. But I think that's true for relationships too. So thank you. I think those watching can see how it parallels so much of our lives, right?
Yeah.
And you're using it as a lesson because the work is important. And so the outcomes can be very important for other people when we jump to conclusions
Mhm.
that way. Cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
How do you distinguish between, and this is fun, a coincidence and a meaningful pattern?
Between a coincidence and a meaningful pattern. Um, I'm thinking of a friend of mine who, and this is how I'm going to answer it. So we were working on a serial murder case outside of work, and a friend of mine is in Florida. This is out of Massachusetts, is in Florida, runs into somebody who runs an entire cadaver dog program in Massachusetts while she's in Florida, in the area where we were looking at. This friend of mine is now in California, in a kind of like a camper park, and she ran into somebody in the same town as where the serial murder happened, in the middle of nowhere, a really weird hour of the night because she just happened to be going to do her laundry because she was rushing. Those are coincidences, and there's no such thing as a coincidence. There's, I mean, it's some of those aha moments
Wow.
you have to sit back and say, yes,
Who's guiding what?
right, correct,
Wow.
correct.
Okay. Thank you. And thank her for me. Because I believe it's that strength of passion that pulls them into these situations to learn and to be there and be so present that you actually make a difference.
Mhm.
Wow.
But it's also listening to that though. That's important. It's not shrugging it off. It's like it's like, oh, hey, it's interesting that I ran into so and so in Florida and so and so. It's being like, wait a minute, why am I being? Is something? Well, I'll just say from the metaphysically, because we all are we being guided in that direction to help out in some way? And that's in any aspect of life.
I think so. That's why I think even armchair sleuths who stay home and
100%.
make a difference.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. So next, what clues do people usually overlook that may turn out to be the most important? I think you would know this one because you see the things that they overlook. I know that in some cases
What clues would people overlook?
that turn out to be.
And I have to apologize because my brain is fried. I'm dealing in 5,000 cases today. What clues are overlooked?
Oh, common. Well, you use a lot of your gut hunches and your gut
I do.
feeling to
I do.
trust you.
Yeah.
So the people around you in a situation of a case, when you have the gut hunch and they don't, what happens? Uh,
Well, I always follow, I'm in a position where I actually can follow my hunch. And I'm fortunate enough to have my supervisor worked with me for 30 years. And before I retired, he was one of the sergeants in the police department I was at. And he kind of knows about me now. He kind of understands that when I get a hunch, just let Flanagan run with this because it's one of those. And now I have this thing up here where they call my cases Flanagan cases because it always goes into the rabbit hole of bigger cases.
oh,
Always does.
interesting. Okay. That's one I think people watching, listening can think about because it still parallels real life and what can happen. Wow. So what did all these years of investigation teach you about the human nature? I'm afraid to ask that one.
No, the older I've gotten, I personally believe that a lot of the people I deal with, 99.99999 are phenomenal people who make mistakes, they have speed bumps in life. We're here to learn lessons. And I try to meet them at that level. I try to meet them as, learn from this, move on, you know, um, let this guide your life back to a correct path. And that's kind of why we're here. We're trying to everybody makes mistakes. So I mean, I look at that one. The older I am, I look at that with human nature. I'm not talking about the 1%, I'm talking about the 99.9%.
I know. I
Yeah,
love it. So you believe in trusting until there's reason not to,
I do. Yeah, I
right?
do.
And I think that's what got you through all these years,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I came from an
So
agent.
be,
Well, and just to add on, I came from an agency where we were very rural town, very spread out, and how you spoke to people and how you listened, a lot of skills that people don't have anymore is a listening skill, and how you treated people. You could be in the middle of nowhere wrestling somebody on the side of the road, and that person who you might have just treated fairly and they may just stop and help you out. I always kept that in the back of my mind how you treat people. So,
I know. I watch, and over the years that we've known each other, I've seen how many connections you make easily filled with trust. And I believe people watching can see that the term the hardened boiled detective, from the 1940s, and Dick Tracy and
yeah,
cartoons
yeah,
and
yeah,
all of them, they can really mislead.
yeah.
Speaking as somebody who's worked with probably about 20 or 30 detectives over a course of time, most of them are like that.
We were always taught, I was always taught when I first came into law enforcement, I was fortunate that if you have to arrest somebody, treat them or have to give them a ticket, you almost want them without you forcing it for them to thank you. You know what I mean? Like your interaction with them, if you can get a thank you out of your interaction with them, then you've done your job. I mean, it's not, you know, I, I was at court yesterday and I ran into a First Amendment auditor up there who's got a million viewers. And it's how you treat people. Um, that's just how I feel. It's how you treat people.
It's
And,
bottom
and
line.
I was talking about that with him as well.
Yeah. And I've watched you do this with everybody. I've watched you and a few others, particularly in the group that we work. And I find that automatically people create teams
Hmm.
to get work done, to get anything done, whether it's a couple, a family,
Yep.
it doesn't matter what, there are cultures that everyone lives together from all sides of the family, and others who don't, who look at that and go, do they get along? And you're saying what I've always felt also, Shakespeare once said it in relationship to loving another person, I think, but I think it's for everybody. Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
That's so well.
Period.
Yep.
For everything.
Yep.
And that is why I have Brian on a lot, because look what he does and look what he teaches. So thank you, Brian, so much. Anything else you want to conclude with that?
No, I think that that hardcore. I'm atypical, and I've been told that by a lot of my. But I don't. I also a lot of my friends in law enforcement are a lot like me. I don't hang out with those hardcore. I have no tolerance and no time for that nonsense anymore. It's about pushing love forward. It's about caring about people. It's what it's always been about.
Right.
And
I think the same thing in other professions where there was an old book many years ago by Dr. Thomas Satz, and he was vilified tremendously by his profession, psychiatrist, who said it's an adult to adult contract.
mm,
I don't sit behind a desk with you. You're telling me how often you want to come, that kind of thing. And so we always have people who, if you will, positively stick out, right? And fortunately, in today's world, as back then too, there are many like-minded who can find each other to say, yeah, it's easier this way, isn't it? To be
yeah,
this way than to be tough. I mean, I've watched surgeons, some of them were warm as toast and others cold as ice. It whether you put on the armor or don't put on the armor,
you get
on
more.
what you see in
You
human nature.
right. You also get more if I'm interviewing people, you also get more bees with honey. And I mean, you also if you treat people fairly and build a rapport with people, you get a lot of information. And that's in any aspect of life outside of law enforcement.
Sure.
And like attracts like, so
Yep. That's why I have you on.
mhm.
So, everyone, thank you. I hope you're enjoying and learning from somebody who I consider really special, no matter what he says. So, thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Ness.